Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, we discuss a 2022 model year launch to celebrate Breitling's commemoration of 70 years since the launch of the original Navitimer. Now, Breitling claims 1952. I'm not going to dispute that here. Elsewhere on the internet, you may see discussion, but let's just take that at face value. 70 years, and they wanted to do something colorful. So this is the Breitling Navitimer B01 chronograph 43 with green mint dial, or mint green dial. The timepiece, as the name implies, is 43 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel, 14 millimeters thick as I measure it, 49 from lug to lug with a 22 millimeter spacing in between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. It wears nicely. The lugs are much more accommodating than in previous generations of Navitimer, and you can see that the watch does fit on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. Not really a thin watch, especially with the overlap of the bezel. It'll fit underneath a jacket, but not the tightest of dress sleeves. Over the top, which always exaggerates the width of the watch, you can see the lugs are just inboard of the edge of my wrist, but the better angle is down the barrel, where you can see that the lugs are a little bit more inboard than the overhead shot implies. Believe me, it looks good in person, especially when you could see that my arm's not actually that small, and I'm a pretty big guy. So the watch will look good on you if your wrist is my size or larger. The other thing, too, is that the strap is not broken in, and Breitling straps, for the price point of the watches, never cease to amaze. This is the kind of strap substance and quality I would expect on something made by Greubel Forsey or maybe Romain Gaultier. We have a wonderfully soft and, as you can see, absolutely unmarred calfskin lining on the bottom, brand new Breitling factory strap, and then up top, unlike a conventional aviator strap, which is usually textile or calfskin, this is large rectangular scale symmetrical scale alligator leather, which is one of the most expensive cuts of the animal and the smallest patch of the hide, so it can be very difficult to source it in large volumes. This is, again, the type of strap you normally see on a Patek Philippe, which boasts that it tries to only use this type of scale. So Breitling, well done. Now, we do have a contrasting stitch in the aviator vein. That is something that we would see on an aviator strap, and you can see the edges folded. There's also some bolstering or stuffing to give it volume. We'll roll around to the clasp, which features both polish and satin externally, a twin trigger release so it can't fly open accidentally. You have to press both triggers. Then you can see it's a polish single fold inside. Rolling around to the case, familiar. We know this Navitimer case band. It's been with us since, no matter who you ask, the mid-50s. Everyone seems to exist in a world where by the mid-1950s, the Navitimer was a fact of life. Like I said, there is some debate over when the first ones were made, but by the time the mid-50s rolled around, everyone could enjoy their chronograph with the circular slide rule flight computer. More on that in a moment. But like many vintage watches, or those patterned after vintage watches, we have a narrow case band, minimal beveling, and then a very squared off end to the lug profile. Pump style pushers, Breitling B on the crown. You can see here we have a knurling that alternates between recesses that are satin and then the outer reaches of it are polished. We have a dramatically boxed, sort of glass box style crystal and sapphire that's designed to look a bit like a vintage plexi. So now the Navitimer, it was not actually the first circular slide rule watch. Even at Breitling, it wasn't the first. That would have been the Chronomat of the early 40s. But the Navitimer, with different calibrations and scales, was said to be the first circular slide rule that could perform all the necessary calculations required for aviation. Now you can see on this anniversary model, we have wings and a shield, but not the original Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association's AOPA logo across the center. The watch was originally, at the very least, designed in collaboration with AOPA to be retailed through the organization's newsletter. And so that's where you would have originally owned it. And of course, if you were a pilot and an AOPA member, the original one would have actually said AOPA. They can use this much, I think, without having to pay a royalty. You can also see that the slide rule is still present and correct. Now, if you're familiar with the slide rule from engineering or mathematics, you know that there are other scales on those not present here. So this is just designed really for multiplication and division. And here's how it works. That little 10 is the index on the inner scale. The 10 right there is the index on the outer scale. Say I want to divide 12 by 6. Now you're going to have to keep your mental decimals straight here. You got to just keep that in mind because this could be 1.2 divided by 6. This could be 120 divided by 6. You just got to remember that. So what I want to do is I want to divide 12 by 6. Okay, so that index is 6. 12 over 6, it's just like a fraction. The number to be divided is on top. Now you go back to the inner scale. 12 divided by 6. There you go. The index lines up with 2. Easy enough. Let's multiply. Okay, so here's how this works. Now I'm going to multiply 15 by 3. So I'm going to put the 15 over the index, and then I'm going to find 3. And 15 multiplied by 3 is 45, just like that. Okay, loom shot coming. And you can see the watch, although not luminescent as a chronograph, is quite luminescent as a watch. It's 30 meters water resistant, so dress watch class water resistant, splash and rain exposure only. We have that lovely mint green dial. Now it's a sunburst with contrasting registers. You can see the hands, the logo, and the indices. They are rhodium plated steel, and they are applique, giving some height above the dial. The sub-registers feature an azurage or concentric pattern. And then you could see that the watch has a little bit of red varnish on the chronograph seconds hand. Here's your running seconds. Here is your jumping chronograph minutes display. Here's your chronograph hours. And then Breitling does a good job of disguising the date disc with a black disc and a black register, so it's unobtrusive. Here you can see the instantaneous jumping minute just right there. Now the watch also features hacking seconds, so you can stop the watch and set it precisely to a reference time. It also has a quick set for the date, so you can rapidly cycle that should you need to do so and make quick corrections. The watch features a column wheel, which you can see through the case back and appreciate. There it is right there. And although this is not widely acknowledged in the watch collecting world, I've always felt that the column wheel feel, the tactile quality of the Navitimer and Breitling B01 movement is among the best in the business. It's got the sharpness and the positive report, the sound and the touch that you expect on a super high quality column wheel chronograph. And it's been hiding in plain sight now since 2009 when it first debuted. Now the other feature you need to know about is that there is a vertical clutch. So when I engage the chronograph, you see there's no jump or stagger. The second hand begins moving, but it doesn't leap forward. That's the vertical clutch. It has no inherent play because it's not meshing teeth. The other thing, too, is the vertical clutch, because it has no additional wear and tear, can be left running. So if you want to leave your chronograph running, there's really no hazard to do that by leaving this vertical clutch chronograph in action. Caliber B01, as you can see, it's actually a pretty good-looking movement and fairly large, so it fits nicely in a big case. And though it was not originally intended for display casebacks, it really works on that basis. You can see the Breitling mid-century double aircraft in formation logo. That's what that is. Now, this is a certified chronometer movement, so COSC certified, 5-position adjusted. Remember, the chronometer certification is on the movement, not the watch. Automatic winding, it's got a 70-hour power reserve, so basically 3 days. Interesting regulation system here. Also, the fact that it uses KIF shock protection rather than the more common Inca block. KIF is something I generally associate with upper-level brands, like, for example, many Breguet watches and Jaeger-LeCoultre. But you've got this little eccentric screw, which you can see is used for very fine adjustments. And then you've got 2 Edicron keys for use in adjusting beat error and fine timing. So 47 joules, 4 hertz beat rate, vertical clutch, column wheel, chronometer certified, and a big, large, attractive movement. Just pleasing on every level, and a movement worthy of a watch. The Navitimer is Breitling's Speedmaster Professional. It's Daytona, it's Reverso, it's Nautilus. It is the icon. It's the one you're going to buy if you just want one definitive Breitling watch, and this one with mint green would be my choice. So reach out to Team Osso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.